What's going on, guys? My name is Richard and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be covering CRWD, or CrowdStrike Holding, which is my stock of the week. And as always, we'll go through what this company actually does by visiting its website and a few different articles. Then we'll hop into MarketSmith, which is sponsoring this video, and go in depth into the fundamentals, the sales growth, earnings growth, fund ownership, the RS line, and then finally we'll wrap up the video by talking about the technicals and finding low risk entry setups that could be developing in the future. And this video is kind of follow-up to last week's where we covered Net, which is a similar company because they're also in the computer software security space that is really on fire at this time. And it's my view that CrowdStrike could become the leader in the space, especially since it's been on an absolute tear, a lot of accumulation coming in the past few weeks, and it also just broke above the key Livermore level at 100. So let's jump into the video and talk about what this company actually does. All right, so here we are on CrowdStrike's website, and I won't spend too much time here because it is very similar to Net from their previous week. But overall, you can see that their main products are these modules right here, and they're all named Falcon something. And from what I gather, each of these are designed to kind of cover one facet of cybersecurity. So it's cool that they have all these different options from detection, prevention, anything you might want. They have a module that covers it. And overall, they have a bunch of different testimonials from customers here that you could go through if you wanted to. And the link to this will be in the description below. So there's not too much that I can gather from the website, but I did go searching for some articles. And there's definitely some good analysis out there from Seeking Alpha and Forbes. And first of all the cloud stocks right now are very strong. It's probably one of the strongest groups out there. And that's exactly where we want to be. We want to be focusing on the best stocks in the best groups. And right now, cloud-based, really anything is taking off. So that's exactly where we want to be. So that's good. And Seeking Alpha talks about that a little bit in the new cloud generation, which has been accelerated because of the current situation with more and more stuff having to be switched to online and more companies having to establish a presence and protect that presence to make sure that there's no breaches, which are very costly to companies. But scrolling through the Seeking Alpha article, they also talk about the financials. They talk about the excellent revenue growth that it has. The gross margins, they say, aren't great, but we'll talk about it a little bit more in MarketSmith. But you can go through this if you want to read a little bit more detail. And once again, the link to this will be in the description below. And switching over to the Forbes article, they also talk about the customer growth that they've had. Basically, it's up 105% year over year. That's fantastic. And in the latest quarter, the company has added 830 new subscribers. That's excellent growth. And they also talk about how a bunch of those customers purchase more than one module. So it's cool that CrowdStrike kind of offers those different modules they can bundle together, and that basically helps add to their revenue. So that is kind of the analysis of what this company actually does. They are a cloud-based cybersecurity firm. And now let's talk about the fundamentals in MarketSmith. All right, so first things first, I always like to check out the earnings and sales. You can see fantastic revenue growth going back the past 3 quarters, over 85%. And in this most recent quarter, it's been profitable. Earnings were up 118%, sales were up 85%, and after-tax margins were up as well, up 2.5%. And going to the annual estimates, you can see that for 2020, it's not yet supposed to be profitable, but it is supposed to reach profitability in 2022 with a EPS of 18 cents a share. The EPS rating is a 69, the group RS is an A+, the SMR rating is a D, accumulation distribution is an A, and the overall composite rating is a 97. So overall decent ratings here, except obviously for that EPS rating. And taking a look at the fund ownership, which in my view is very important. You can see that it is increasing overall over the past year or so, but you did have a drop in September 2019. And overall, you only have one high quality fund investing in this company. And if you're curious, if you have MarketSmith and want to see more info about the fund ownership, you can click this button down below and you can basically see every fund that owns it, as well as the rank of the fund versus all others. So it's good to see a bunch of A pluses in here and high Bs. So that's just another function that if you have MarketSmith, I think it's really helpful. You can even see their 1-year return in here, which is cool to see. And as always, you want to be trading with these high quality funds and looking at the same stocks that they are. But that is just a quick aside, and let's get back to CrowdStrike. So overall, taking a look at the RS line, you can see it's going up just like how we want it to be, and the overall RS rating is a very strong 96. And overall, it's in a long consolidation period. It's in its institutional due diligence phase and is right up against its IPO kind of high. So if we go over to a weekly chart, we can see this a little bit clearer. You can see it's right up against this previous level at around 100. And overall, its up-down volume ratio right now is 1.3. That's pretty decent. And overall, you can see it doesn't have a return on equity and its cash flow is negative. And that's pretty much it in terms of fundamentals, except down here, you can see a little bit more history of the revenue growth right here, which is really outstanding. And now let's talk about the technicals in depth in TC2000. All right, so jumping into the technicals, you can see that CrowdStrike is a recent IPO. That's a plus for me. And then after its initial run up, after its IPO base right here, you can see it formed a green line at around 100. The actual value was 101.88. And since then, it's kind of been just in this institutional due diligence phase, this long-term consolidation. And since the March lows, it's been on a tear. I think it's up about 180% from these lows. And that is a positive for me. You want to see that a stock is capable of doubling, and CrowdStrike has definitely proved that. And right now it's entering the kind of turbulence zone right at this IPO high. But there are significant signs of accumulation. And going to a weekly chart on this, you can see that going back 10 or so weeks, there's only 2 red weeks in that entire expanse. And the up weeks are in higher volume. You can see big signs of accumulation right here from institutions. And overall, I think CrowdStrike, after this consolidation period, could go significantly higher. And all it has to do really is break above this turbulence zone right at this IPO price, or not the IPO price, but the IPO high price. And if it can break out of this on significant volume, I think it could be the start of a major uptrend. So in terms of technical setups, it is kind of drifting higher at this point, and a logical buy point was either as it broke through this green line right here or above the previous high at 103.80. But it's kind of gotten rid of those setups recently, so I would look for a pullback, potentially a shakeout below this green line, and then a move upward. And then at that point, I would either use a green dot entry setup, a Bollinger Band bounce, and if it broke out above this high on significant volume, that could be an entry setup as well. It really all depends on your personal preference and your own risk tolerance and time frame. But overall, CrowdStrike is right at all-time highs, right where I want to be buying a stock, and its fundamentals are strong, the technicals are strong, there's signs of accumulation, and it's got a story behind it because of this switch to online and the increased need for cybersecurity. So overall, I think CrowdStrike is a good stock to have on your focus list, along with some other cybersecurities like Net, which we covered last week, ZS, Ping. All these are good to watch in this time. So I'll have this on my watch list, and as soon as it sets up in a way that fits my own personal risk tolerance, I will take up at least a small position and see if it proves itself. But thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my analysis, and please, if you did, go ahead and leave a like down below and subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you guys in future videos.